Accra, baby to say, Atoman, Kofi Donko, Imam Pehia, Danjra, Kaswa Obom, Dodowa, Kofi Kwe, Ayete Kote, Wager, Broadcaster, Annie Bebre, Sayako Central Region in Sua, Cape Coast, Ayensudo, J. Krodia, Portin, Gomwa Kwe Krum, Yankwa Eastern Region, and Sawam, Kwasinyako, Afram Krum, Afayentu Fa, Nayanko.
Boy Ghana this year, Mamma Jo Mama Kwaba, Edeba Kasia Baatan Eswe Brason, say Yeden Sema Hodwa Edika, any edit, dear Bumfumpa. Najan Hon said Tremena, man, I'm doing sending another so, my Ghana. Emo and now feel be my eso the Semu for some sons of Crojin. Say Asantuma Popio to do a boss and Swen and our bossy Anka, when no enna and a day Yawad, the Kitan Sabosomeno, Neda etoso Eduas and Fimpino, any Eduno is here, Jebras Macafoya can canning, Ede Ama War. Etu energy jina for na eto madama KASE3 Ghana Limited and Sasa Crojin ya neboda for Momo. E jina ya chidendende ena kasibo ya de esomo sanso ena kelele clothing nenso ejina ya chipa ya womo eso yasene. Na etifin semni bia obetie ene se gabo mampeni na nsa ya obedi wo man Ghana emu no de niatremu ewo mampeni dada wonya ne baby ekọ eye Jerry John Rollins ne na so e de hwere akwakoguso.
Saso na ene day na ora Victor Beho epenyimfo momu free my Ghana and performance so makansempa afa no ho te say o my be say Liberia and Namibia.
Aban lawyer penny di ababetu jo se Ghana mampeni so enyaji atum ese empenifo de baye se mampeni de ye to abama ona obetena benwane so emfie na no ye tum e de akọ emfie no enum.
So far was saying Sase and Obadi and Nipaso and Monya for Imano Amakufibua Akasa Afavako who sent semi Nensem na wakan say a buying any to see a dear bias or beton.
And some pino akadia bosway and who and I jabre a de asomo a pesmaka 4. Ya de shares a mampo in an abomo papebi a memo tofa bohima abena foku yaboamene.
A queer cordia yabwasser.
And some nintremony.
Manas FM 102.7.
I was a former main Kai was a fontin ten for the question as soon introdon and introduction in P3P and in Patrapa as Facebook Neso. I am Mothers 102.7 Accra Uduha. French in Ibesia and de Troaniamano. Mien sape like wa share na wa commenti. Mamisha CMFA and Mao Edia. Odemonian for Bryce in Gwema Aya Gabon for Emman Penny. What in any tremo? Ewa o Michael Krogana Emosu Bedin and Sa na Wabua na Yonkofa Eda Amayimi Nuntemo no more retire. Sebenta na etumi akoso adwade kwaso bambo kwaso ne niema bebre akwanwa sepi enso emu ade ba akwa wode hye ne nwuma emu enese watietia na chacha ne mpabo akese mu enani atremu ewo Ghana mampani dada wanya ne baby ekọ His Excellency Jerry John Rollins ne na eso edi nhwe yakwa akogusu akansempa ede ya jana chi krakrakra wose wode manyamfo ehye wonum enkran ne kutupa yemre bia atwemu esanse na wode wani twemu ewo Gabona na eye bongo busuano wo madi eye wo ma benwa kese na efene polepole aduonum ensia 56 years ni na wo moteso na nso no wo no ma hwe akwane na ye mampani dada His Excellency eye JJ Rollins akwane ofa so ye ne niam ne ade na ema wo mo eye ne sodom etu no krakrakra ema wo ma motumi eba na wie ye wo sei we ya na monto wo mutu ya wo mutumi de wo mo ho anei Gabon aye Gabon ene.
Well-deserved tribute that we have just paid to the memory of late President Rawlings for the Gabonese people and for Gabon as a whole. Through his writings and his speeches, I think that late President Rawlings inspired a good number of African leaders. I remember one of his quotes when he said, when the people are oppressed with justices as accomplices, the military have to take responsibility. And that's what inspired us to perpetrate the liberation coup in Gabon on the 30th of August 2023. I also remember another quote when he was taking power here in Ghana. He said that we are going to establish strong laws in Ghana so that even if the devil takes power here, he will not dwell one more day in power here in Ghana. So that's the spirit that guided the establishment of the new laws in the Fifth Republic that we have just established in Gabon right now. There are two examples. The first is that in our laws we have established the limitation of the number of terms for a president. We have now 2 terms only for a president. The second example is that a son of a president cannot take over his father.
Na tresa memmo no enkoye na eyade se ekọ nanimpa eye wo motena so ache bubu mra so tietie omofa ahodie so ne ade na wasasra for edo omonan esi from ne ekokotie ye eye Gabon mampani His Excellency Bryce Ngwema na no si ya pe na ye mampani dada His Excellency JJ Rawlings eye na sine mo baba eye ne dini eye yasantoa Ajimai Rawlings ono so gina simpie ni apaso kire so mani so papa bebre so atumi atwa sapa ede ato honum ama aman penimfo ahodo bi enso so efe bi na atumi aboa wo mo ewo akwanuasa bebre enso eso de wo bi na asere mpemesi de nkomfama Ghana ban so mo so ahye wo mo epapa enemonyam sei.
Through this act of remembrance, we are reminded that while those great statesmen have completed their earthly journey, they have entrusted to us the sacred responsibility of preserving and strengthening the bonds they forged. May this wreath stand as a symbol that the baton of brotherhood has been passed to the present generation of leaders in Ghana and Gabon, who will continue to deepen the ties between our 2 nations for the benefit of our people. It is in the same spirit that the J.J. Rawlings Foundation, inspired by Jerry John Rawlings' sacred duty to the socio-economic liberation of the ordinary African, builds upon his legacy, ensuring that the vision continues to inspire an awakening of activists' collective consciousness. We also express our sincere appreciation to the government of the Republic of Ghana for its continued support in preserving the memory of Jerry John Rawlings, and to the officers and men of the Ghana Armed Forces whose professionalism and dignity have lent fitting honor to this solemn occasion.
Mothers Sports, Mothers FM 102.7.
Eni ayekokotie ye ayoba ya santoa Ajimai Rawlings ye mampani dada wanya ne baby ko ne baba ne mu bako.
Ye twakase ne so dua Ghana ni this year eye Victor Beho eyobia obetena se wo man Ghana so papa eye se eka wo mo epeja wo man Ghana ekonkrofo man so a Oyobia no di mutentima pa eye oboaye e masundue ewie mudi e wa man wodo bebre so na masompa no so man Ghana nto tretre mu a e de konkrofo man so eno nti abroko ne kre echi enkrofo bebre fi nkrofo man so akire eniso semo e de amano akansempa e de afa ne ho te se enkane Liberian foreign minister wakasa e kire se obona basopa eye efisi waboa e men kabom kese e na ba bi man mu eno anso ha so wo tre enu so wo tre se baby a won monyamfo Victor Beho ebegire bia no wo hwe se obeja eye nka dum bi wo ho a impo no obi a betimi aka se you Ghana ni dihye nie na catch your mind Ghana say ya shra de papa ye fi se wo sra oba de nyankopon se won san dum ye obi a oba besi na name
stood out about Minister Beho was the fact that he was a very experienced diplomat. So he walked in the room and everyone looked up to him because he was the one that had all the experience. he was the one that everybody respected. So his view, his influence was quite out of the ordinary compared to other ministers. And I think that gave Ghana a vanguard role in African diplomacy, in Africa. As big as Nigeria was, they looked up to him as an elder statesman and as someone with a lot of experience.
Any akokotie ye enkane oman Liberia Foreign Affairs Minister nene eni ekotie no onimonyamfo Monique Captain nene eni ekotie na so waso enkane ne oman Namibia so mampeni wono so de nsem bonti a wo tre se wo hwe Ghana de hye ya mprempre waka enchenegu onimonyamfo Victor Beho a asumdwe ade na dan na waka ho asempa sai mponse oman Namibia eni oman nya ma fa ahudie a etwatro e wo bi micro ni mu no obeka se nyina efa wo nya for Victor Beho na sundua wo de baaye enti e no musuma wo de wo ho
available to give advice to African governments. He was able to live and work with other Africans, and he has done this not for 10 years, not for 20 years, but for many decades. And therefore, those of us who were the last to gain our independence, so Namibia was one of the last country to gain its independence. We are grateful to for the encouragement we got from Ghana, from its representatives, both here in Accra, in New York, in Addis Ababa, or wherever. Therefore, we are not here to mourn a foreigner or somebody who does not belong to us. We are mourning a leader, our own leader.
Mothers FM 102.7.
Enkane Namibia mampeni nene enye kokotie ye no.
Ghana ban ete empenimfo eko se wono montena se yamamna no mumpense mu na yehunu ne ebetumi ayede afa ho nsakra kakra etwase ye na eboa oman Ghana ye kabi mamenkabi ene amemu ayebu ewo ha no na wo metumi dia ba emonten so na eye constitutional review committee wo mo etena se yakoba ye no muhunu se yeto abawie bia nipa yebeyi no se eye mampeni ewo oman Ghana emu no emfie no eye enan ena yede ama no na chese na ewie ya ansane ato abafofo na so sabe sanso aba na wasanso aba ebiem na ehon hyehye no ekra eyade sesa emfie na etwase yepeja mu edeko enum esanse mpanimfo ni biba ejuma nkasankasa ombe fiti ase no wo muntumi mfanko na ewie ye pa wo mo de ba wie ye no na ehu akohia sa ban lawyer pani beba monten so na wam yehu eye mampani ni nsusu ye enso ewo ho ne ehunu sa de kro no wono nsusu ejina kire anampo se wo ye ne se na enede ya ena ban ya penny onmanyamfo Dominica Kritinga yini ebehia ensamtrefo na wode ato anim se ensusuye no abemu awio ye abemu awio yeda yeso na abemu awie na trese sesi amene wo kase die enyitumu ena aba aban white paper no aba monten so ya etrese sa emfie nan no penimfo behwe apejamu ede akọ emfie no beyese enum na afein so enipa ye oba begina me ato ne so aba se mampani no emfie dodo no ampenimfo nso de toto hono mahwe na ne ombe ya afa hono wo mo aye.
The government has accepted a recommendation to extend the term of office of the president from 4 years to 5 years, with the term of parliament extended to correspond with this. Our thinking is practical. Under the current 4-year cycle, the early months of every administration are consumed by transition matters, and the final year is largely consumed by elections. A 5-year term provides a more realistic time frame for the formulation, implementation, and assessment of government policy. Still on the presidency, the committee recommended that the minimum age of eligibility for election as president be reduced from 40 years, currently in the constitution, to 30 years. The government has accepted this recommendation in principle, subject to one modification. The minimum age will be 35 years, not 30 years. And of course, the details of this will be fashioned out by the Constitutional Review Implementation Committee. The current threshold of 40 years excludes qualified citizens from seeking the highest office on the basis of an arbitrary age limit. 35 is consistent with a trend in modern democratic constitutions towards greater inclusivity of the youth, whilst ensuring that a candidate for the highest office has attained a measure of maturity and experience to handle that office.
Eni no na chese abom na ene ye wo hwa ropako na yenka bi enhyemu ena ye mame sedna atuonu tamaklu ya na achache bi wo ye pani kwantrefo eda microfinance and small loan center ni ti atwemu eye maslo kano ya ne ho asem ba ye se sika twetwe de bia fefa ne nsase ema ye di adanse ne ade kra kwa adu ne ade de bo ne wiase ne yese won konkotwere mu emfie ne polepole edu na ye wo hwa asem ye di akone aba yesi maame abepiem o man Ghana me de na kwa akotwere mu kra dada ene ade ene yete ya na kire se court tena na asem ne so ebiem na okase maame no ye gya no se wonya ne tiri adidi mu na kire se mfie du no ayekwa na empanimfo dodo na bia kyekere o madwen enso de afefa ho anene ya aban lawyer pani gina simpie ni apaso no woka bie no se wahunu se dodo na abo enyo eyesa atemo na eba monten eso na nso no wono ne na pamfo ne na tena ye no mu do mo nan esi fom na ntoto ye bia twase wo mu ye de fa atemo eba monten so no matumi aye na kyese wo mo ntena se enye nhwe ha ema ne aba no ano na dodo na abo enyo so no wo mo entumi enso na kyese nyina so bi wachira e wo se wo mu hwehwe mu na wo mu tumi eka na bibi wo ho e wo se wo mu yen so so mbehwe na wo mu ayonesa.
The person started talking about the said in Tamaklo, and I tried to motion to the person that, look, I have said it from the outset that this press conference is not about Sedina Tamaklo. And also, as a lawyer of many years standing, I will not comment on a matter until I have read the judgment, and I have not read the judgment of the Court of Appeal. It has been sent to me, I have not read it. But I took the professional decision, and I stand by it in principle, that the appeal should be opposed. I inherited the docket, I inherited the extradition request, but government is a continuum. I reviewed the documents and I worked on them. So this is a principle stance, and it is a stance about accountability, okay, for this country. It's not about individuals. If it were about individuals, let me tell you, Sedina is my friend. She's my personal friend. It's not about personalities. It's about this country. And I'll take the appeal on to the Supreme Court. And to tie it on to the question about face saving, if you look at me, I'm not the type of person who fears losing face.
Mothers FM 102.7.
Na trese maame ne mpo ochira ni nipa enso enye eno ena ye de boman nso no de no kwena da no obehwe na wono nso wode ato ni ekokotie ye eye aban lawyer penny no mnyafo Dominica Kritinga ayine
Enra de ewa ya kase ma munya na ntie se djuma fo ye adjuma ewo Volta aluminium company Valco fuato ho agumonten so ye kire kase eno mo ye mo so mo kan na se wo mo tete akai se ye ba beton enu nto mo sre Ghana ban si wo mbrem titiri ne Ghana man pani si wo mbrem e se kase bi ko no mo ntena se no mo nina enkasa mo kuchiro mo nsem na egun krata so ekoma atema meya onmonya for Ebi Bright. Ono so nsan kan krata nene ena swafo a wo hwe yen saase ene obaade ne paso. Onmonya for Emmanuel Amakofibua abekasa wo kire se abanye na adwin biase wo koton sa campaign no. Ankrofo kreke komote 70% wo ton amaya kwantin kro bia na sa ankra bi. Onmonya for Emmanuel Amakofibua se bibie nu etesa entedwumefo nkomakoma entomuyem. Na va kodwumekuo no ade a eda Ghana man pen na koma so pa eyie enti so beto bibi kura na enye sa adwumekuo yi to o ma ye adwuma no wo mon koma koma ntomu ye se die bi sa kra bi emaye
that are not optimum quality, ultimately affecting the customers, and we are losing a lot of revenue. So because of that, we still even owe suppliers potentially. Because of this low level and the challenges I've described, the thousands of other people who should have opportunity to work here are not able to be hired. So we continue this cycle. Now, my friends, what are the options in the face of austerity that everybody knows we are dealing with in Ghana? Trying to make sure we come out. I have engaged extensively with the Minister of Finance, who is helping, struggling to even pay some of these power debts that we're describing. It's obvious the government of Ghana cannot infuse that $700 million required to bring new plants and machinery and turn around this plant that has so much potential. So there are a lot of options we have. As a minister, we started an engagement and finally went to cabinet, who has given us the authority to now sit down with investors who are prepared to come and work and turn this place around.
Mothers FM 102.7.
Onmonyafo Emmanuel Amakofi buaswafo a wɔhwɛ yɛn saase ɛne ɔbaade ne pa ne ekotie yɛ no.
Ewusia yampaja kasi aboyemfa yani enchemu ewo eye dagbon ahenie emu na kitansabu sumi ya yewom ye china na eto atwa eno emu ne da etoso dumienu ene yenya ne nteye se eye yana wo mo hene popro ya wo ho na mafra ne ntoma ne tintin mu ya ewo arehosem kwan eso ade eto bie ni wo manga na emu esanse wetwa sapa bebre dia to honom amade hye bie di so amennei amemu ekoso ho nyina nya nsunsanso pa ensoso ewo eso na iyo ho ntoto yetumi ekoso ema eni chebi eye empenimfo to something ede omani twemu ewo kotokohene Asante Mera eye ne nase kobo na mane ewo eye na wotwe omudi si honom ede empaibo konkran hyehye so ede ama eye Yana Abukari Mahama ya wotoso mienu na wo mapeno krabe wo makro na chi kra na wo mukopie mu ewo Asante hene ni mu no wo mo eyi enipa etre yeso wo no ene wo mudi ni ejina kosisi wo mo beye ntoto ye na wie die ansana wo matumi apedi obedi na de kra ewo saa kwan no eso na me no ka se ye ne de ya empanimfo afiti ase amamra ne amane edi ahim ne ade ncheche ewo dapon ya enye fedi agro kra ewo ho ya wo mo ye ntoto ye na eye papa no no ankasa na sinimo ba ne babarima ya ne dini eye Kampakuya na Yakubu Abukari wo mo de no edi ade papa enso doso enso ewo honom na enhemudie na se na commander in chief o kireye se sene omo aye omo ntoto yesi afa na nyade ombe makwan ama obia ede eniema hudu obia ensene mfata se bia akodie bia tututu obia na ade bia enka omamamre ho emfa medi ahimni ade ncheche ewo ase ekwane omo fa so no eye wo mu anhyehye no anso a na wo modi so
burial. No artificial rifle is allowed into Yendi and its environs. And at the palace here, you can come in with the traditional cap guns. That is what in the Bang culture we use to salute the dead or any other celebration. Yes, but even that one is restricted because after 12 midday tomorrow, the firing will not be allowed. And it will not be allowed until when His Excellency departs, the Kampakuya returns, and then if you haven't yet done it, you can then go to the grounds and do it. But within the period of 12 midday to the end of the program proceedings here, no firing of musketry is allowed. And we are ready to enforce that.
Empanimfo ni bia wo mo ekasa ye kropon krachepani ya ono nso ewo ho ni monyamfo Sugri Muniru ya wono ekire adwumadi a ekoso no pomponso ababedru ehon tutu ye bi ene eye empanimfo wo mo abepie mu kra wase bi ya amanyofo na nanom atena nkonya kakra ene ade hye bebre ka ho bi na wo mo atwahia wo mo hwe ni mu se enema bebre enso betumi akoso mo fasa akwanya no so ada eye dagbonfo amamre ni amane adi ede akire wiase.
Good, because issue like this is a national event. Issue like this is about tradition. Issue like this is about citizenship, and you should be privileged enough to have the royals. You should be privileged enough to have the political bigwigs, privileged enough to have the security heads, privileged enough to have the traditional leaders. Very, very. And as MCE, I take all instructions, I take all briefings from the traditional leaders, from the security heads, and come back to also brief my Municipal Security Council. So from day one, the Nayab Kugana is the custodian head of the tradition. I go to him for briefings. I go to Nabiele Zwana, because the inception of the regent to see the father's corpse was supposed to be skinned partially by Nabiele Zwana, which happened before the regent can even see the corpse to verify that my father is really dead. So for me, as a municipal chief executive, I am privileged to have every councillors around me to give me the guidelines.
na ne krakra mu no na wonom emra shibedwani na chese wo gina mu dia ma de hia wonom ewo yendi onimonyamfo Abdul Fattah Al-Hassan wo bo na nanamatna nkonya abaso bambo dwumako no obi biara okabie wo mbia ode nani akyeremu ewo enhyemdie no ensoso ase a wo mo hwe ne mu nso se mampani de eba beka wo mo ensa na bibiara akosototi.
That we started about 2 weeks ago, and it's been success upon success, and so we can only commend them for how far they have brought us all together. And then, in addition, I want to also commend the security agencies. In fact, many were those who thought the exile would be marred by some instability or some other issues, but we've so far witnessed so much success that we can only commend them for how far they've brought us. The ground organizers should also be commended, and then, like my MC rightly indicated, we are entreating all and sundry to abide by the rules given for the game, because we are currently in the hands of the traditional authorities. They are mandated to dictate to us where and how we should be, and so we should all abide by their dictates so that at the end of the day we all have a successful celebration. We are all here, but the whole world is watching us, and fortunately for us, we'll be having His Excellency the President himself here in Yendi, and so the entire, not just Ghana, the entire globe will be watching us, and many are those who feel that this will bring us back into those dark days of Dagbon, but we are trying to showcase to the world that we've come far and that we are not ready to slip back to those days. And
Mothers FM 102.7.
Eni aye kwakoti eye yendi ensoso wonom emrahye bedwani abusuafo enkyere bia ye betonkra abatew na yatoa ensem ne so ensoso ede amawo na nso ansa ne ye bekono mamenkanfo wei emfa emawo ede a Mothers TV ene Mothers FM mahwefo esanse ejumedie ne yetena radio hadi bi bebre na yafa ewoti hwe no so na wofia wanya bi enso ahwe na nso emfidie na da ne da ye de eye adwuma se ne ye be ya adwuma no ebeso mani ebepema so na bibi biara enso atumi atotoso ye di ama mo no mahunu ne ye nyina na esonfo so de pese mo nsa ekenti no wodi wani twemo e wo satellite platform no eso ya page mo enso akọ eye foforo so edi bi aka ho na chese ye free ne e woni so ama ye de foforo kra asanso aba be ka ho ya wo hwehwe ya wo nsa betimi aka ye no ane se obere scan wo encoder no na ubie sanso a eye frequency no eye 12303 and our face symbol rate no enso eye 27500 afa polarization enso eye horizontal madama and position no enso eye 26 degrees east ena ade na nkasa popro no eye Arabsat bad R8 Mothers TV the mother of all media won sabe kan ye ewo eno so eso eni ti madama ye de foforo aba be ka ho ti mo riskane na mo nsa enso entumi enka ye ewo sa kwan no eso ekwa bibi wo ho a
ni enchemo kelele clothing yedru hodia na ne eye wa hofama se bedi nkan na kọ eye totin dia ma wonti hope ene mekanfo ama wo se ope material bia fabric bia atode won pe ne betimi aboa wo se ne ebe ya wupia bonten abonse ni nyina epu be hwewo na wo so anwo ofe ne timi esita eno nti na mekanfo omode ama wo omo African print ho within print sastom wo switch fabrics and afa India West lace ahodo nyina no fabedan wo mo kai se odu betimi de woni padua na nkasa aba no man kasa susu apomade e betimi afata wo no mo de ashawo kelele clothings e will not kaneshi obetimi afro mo 0541 849-257 and I say 0268 866-697. My means some matter for the BMO 0541 849-257 and I say 0268 866-697. Kelele clothings one bebo one for etimi SCP esita. I think
kelele clothing corset agbada emane mema die nyina embroidery bubu silk kaftan political suits nina ye pembi wa ha ye kire kwan e wo North Kaneshi the Mall bus stop ana wo dear friend e wo 0541 849 257 ana 0268 866 697 aha kelele clothing Mimma kwaba yeni etimi ma wa ho ofedanso ɛwɔ wɔn ntaade hyɛ mu esan sɛ yɛwɔ fabrics asɔɔto nyinaa bi wɔ ha African print kelele clothing deɛ yɛsan so pam the show kama yɛ pam mɛma ne mɛma
Adishmaima Cars Estate Ghana Limited Yeye Jumakuo bia Yesi Dine Ton Dine Eton Sase Krujia Mansubia ni ho Woto yen sase bia Ebeya wo dia forever and ever Wabusian da chinti Enunti Cars Estate say Tia 10% pay Na afe hyase Usi dine no Na wuchia ne kakra Cars Estate in kwane won sase wo the whole Ghana Ye won sase bi wo Greater Accra Baby to say Atoman, Kofi Donko, Imam Pehia, Danjra, Kaswa Obom, Dodowa, Kofi Kwe, Ayite Kote, Weja, Broadcasting, Ani Bebre, Sayako Central Region in Sua, Cape Coast, Ayensudo, J. Krodia, Portin, Gomwa Kwe Krum, Yanko Eastern Region, Ensawam, Kwasinyako, Afram Krum, Afayentufa, Nayanko Northern Region, Yobi Watamale, Nyampala, and Sassono Bay, UDS Campus, Watamale Kumasa Kwanso, Yesansu Executive Wanzo, the other chromo pair. Now, we sound super assassin tam, and the Yakria and Efua. You will be with the whole Ghana. And on Tishu Yachakwine, and with the main office, Accra, Tessano, Yani Ghana Telecom University, and our police training school, and the Dishanimu. Wakaswa Malam Quantum Ponoso, a month from Yani Resurrection, sorry, a Dishanimu. Now, Yakwa Amasama Iswa, opposite the Central Marks. Wa Amasamaiwa, or Bakrowa office, no, I was site to Hope. Afei Ashaiman, Yane Lorry Station, and a dish anymore. Freying 0302 963740. ABM 0302 963740. Cars Estate Ghana Limited. Yanti Usubet Miesidai.
TV so Kasia Baatan and when you go so wushwe saso and wasungu so wuti as the PSA and Komakas Estate Ghana and kelele clothing so maso yasina fe kasia no yan to aswe near to aswo dia a United Nations Special Representative Emma Libya a mame Hannah Sewatete one ambassador DK Osei one no our presidency council on foreign relations omo futu sem Emma Ghana for sem form modern pa ye sebe ya pasa Ghana this year ebetu pata akwane obi kro so se okopajmu okon school ene me be atete sa be wi ase no no na ni akwa ntoto ewo baby san eno ya ade a entimi emboa ma me hana tete ekire se empanyimfo mfa nema bebre engugu akwan mu se ne ebe ya se wo bi etu bata ne nkrata semo bibia betimi akototen ede ama Ghana this year no se sa kwan ne pe ene ekwa akwa so man Ghana ye ya ka ekire ewo amano ne ho ensensemu nensem eni.
Don't focus on post-conflict recovery, and we expect that these very fragile states are going to somehow manage to pull themselves out of the quagmire, settle, and be able to resume their path towards development. Then we are expecting miracles of countries where institutions have collapsed and where they will be unable to do that without sufficient support. We need a whole of government approach to foreign policy. It should not just be an issue for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration. The ministry is not an island that stands on itself, excluded from the rest of the government machinery. Because when you have a situation where you've got our diplomats and sometimes very dedicated, conscientious foreign service officers who are working in their country context to promote Ghana as an investment destination, to make sure that different ministries, departments, and agencies are notified and prepared for big meetings and discussions that are coming up, who follow through when you are not there to follow through.
Mame Hannah Sewatete the ne ene ekotie ye no dwumedie na sia ambassador Kofo Osei no so dwumedie na so yedwemtene wono so de ensem etudwa wo kire se emansem panyufo sori waka se ne ebe yi a oman Ghana mono ne ho nsem so obi de hia na se Ghana de hia won krofo man so ohun betimi ahenha wo mo titiriwu ni ekowa so boys oboa se ne ebe ya mo mutubata ekon krofo kro no wo mo betimi ahenha wo mo eye won wonyamfo Osei Kofo
Ghana is about to take over the chairmanship of the African Union next year. My goodness, what an opportunity. And maybe this discussion will provide the basis of the kind of vision in determining our policy options, and we should not waste this opportunity.
Jumadi na say na Professor Henry KASE Prempeh, or Executive Director, CDD Ghana. One also ejina simpie so kasaya. Watch research such media eyadia. Ebe boy be mind ko nyina mu. Na ya boa se na ebe ya global environment no. Ebe timi akọ enkan no bia bete ne ho ase.
Through the Krontini Akwamu lectures, CDD Ghana aims to elevate and invigorate the public conversation, provoke critical thought and reflection, and inspire fresh insights and perspectives on the experience, practice, prospects, and challenges of democracy, governance, and development in Ghana and the rest of Africa.
Mothers FM 102.7.
Enti konti eni akwa media kwa so ankna pumpini mantem haseye Professor Henry KASE Prempeh wono so nsemo de tuja.
Ewusia yanto aso ewo ensem foforo emu ede ni betremu ewo enwomesua asreye no emu omode nanu esi honom eye enra ene enne na womode ye enhyemudie pa ye no no moto omonsa ede frɛ enwomesua mu akunini atwetrefo esuafo awofo ene eku ahodo omo hye ase nyina ma womu behia ye na womu hwɛ kwane omo befa so ama upiemu ewo nto aso su kwa sebi mpreduasa enia enso ade emfreni ma ni atuhura sema ekosu bi wo ho no ekwana ombefa so ama abrase ana se to kra nso betwa kra na wo mu hia ye no na akwa akoba ne se emre bi a etwam mfimpino ene eye dunsumu ena empanimfo de nhye ye baaye se ne achechefu ebi mutumi ma abaso na ene oba no na chipa viataw oba ne beba no na chese eda hokọ na we mu honom no ene ye nse kura ye boa ne mu nkase ebi nyina ahojo onse chi no kura se yetumi bo na ehon tintini nyina asore eni adiade ntini nyina ka so twe ni bi ho a na eye achechefo bi edema esuafo na eye ne eye ahye no nam so ma enwoma esuaso ene mpanimfo ahodo bi ede omo na yesi fom se ne eye twam okwa nkofa ba nkotene ewo osuani bi aso ne emfa ekwan foforo so na ye ntene wo mu eno so beto ho no ye hu aso eboa anase emoa na enhyemudie na se ena obenfo Ernest Kofi Davis wono ena eye GS Director General ya wono su chechemu se womu eyi samra no kra free honom no mo hwe sentutu bi honom mu digu akwam na eno so beboa ena nei ababe PSA
2017 declaration to outlaw corporal punishment. Several policies were put in place. I can mention a few of them. Positive discipline toolkits by GS and partners, including UNICEF. We developed that policy document. We developed the school safeguarding policies to make the school environment attractive, to get the students to be interested and feel safe in the school. I must say that we have done well in developing these policies, but the implementation has been the major problem.
Na enuachi ena eye swafo a wo hwe nwomesua ho nsem eso ne manyafo haro na Idrisu wo kire se wono de enya de a otumi etena sede ne nsa ehye ne demre fam ye nhwe han ase esuafo wo mu ena sebe emfreni ma asem ne adutra sem adi ewozuko onso so kra elinso ande wogina ho an wo se wabie mu wo bisa se aso sa aso twe na achacha na ewo honom ya ema ehu ehye esuafo mu na wo mu ntumi enya adutra sem ene ne omope ewozuko ni mu no yensan famra biem ana yenya wo mu sa na sisi ano yenwum famma mu na sa bredi ekokoso ano enkoteza se nei wo behwe na wo mu ama brantan so na kwabrane achechefo na yesibam wo mu obi kunu ene chese enye kura entu abiem a wo bisa sansem no ezan so no won so sunti wo bisa wo mu so adwenkyere edefa ho.
Could have reduced my speech as I intend to a question. Should we reintroduce corporal punishment? So President Mahama, Minister Haruna Idrisu, Director General Education, in search of answers to this question.
na obi sari ya ekọ asuafo bi a wo mu kopie mu onom so ye mfamra na menkra de enuanom asuafo bi asode aboden pa eni won be kire so omo asika na omo di enti no chese wontumi nkire omo hwe foku na ne de omo ya na wotumi hu se wo mu ya asode na ma ne kire so ebro so nti se asotwe ano oden wo ho a wo mu susu so omo nuanom bi ebeyosa
back because here's the case. There are some students that are really stubborn. No matter how calmly you speak to them, they'll still misbehave. So I support them bringing corporal punishment. Yeah, it is. So if they are to bring corporal punishment back, then they should speak to the teachers so that they'll know their limits.
I think this idea is very, very good, but this is where some teachers abuse this right of caning students or beating them. So bringing it back is very, very good, but there should be rules and regulations abiding with it.
For me, to be sincere, I would like them to bring back flogging students, or because maybe if I do something bad and you tell me you tell me you're going to cane me. Me per se, I'm scared of canes. So in fact, I'm not going to do something which will cause caning.
Esuafo ni bi ne ati wo mon kana na kese bi kra de osi onkonya ya nkomode ababiem nanso wo suro be hu na cheche ni bi nam se ya ma na ho kwanti wasiba mo wa ama wanim no asesa echima kodi baabi eninti wo mususu se nka ye mfamra nso mo fa nsusu ye enso nto ho ne krakra no achechefo bi so we second, we third, we fourth. Just obia say obia manensa somon san famra. Esa nse na nse asotwe omode ama wo mo somon famra disuafo no. Emu gododo. Ento mo huni so enye lai bia na meba na maya asode na o se menkan ya manenche ana me paper table yi so na je se enye yi bia ntime de enko ba bia. Eni nto mo hunu ne se ye yi bia ntene ne wo so mo ye na chese wo maye. So mo be sre sempenifo hwe enfamra bia.
We are resorting to, rather than the corporal punishment, has now become a hobby to students. Now they know if they do something wrong, they are going to weed or scrap, which they don't see as a punishment anymore.
We are trying to imitate things from the Western world. But my belief is that we have had a culture and then the systems we believe in as of now. So we have conscientized ourselves in that regard to reflect what we impose in us through a study of culture. So it is only prudent that corporal punishment, in a way, I think, will do us more good than harm.
Mothers FM 102.7.
Achechefo bi se yensamfa asotwe mu ode no yenfamra pa isanse emwa mekuya yesi yensamfamra na enwo ho na ayamani nyina momu nyini
nkopi mo travel
ne so
na me who's the first na yensechi me dey na ma na ntu ken no the master teacher
na bia
me oh
ona kokom
me master so tie me amechia ni pa Mr. Yosi
me kai me say me bese me bonidin na mo hunu makorehwe no o kire made o kire me ayi social studies sister no watare no oso mu say na chese o make sure say ade bi e she inside bia wasom na watighten hu say na wa be hu oto hu etwawo Omabuyo Ajafo na boye no wan shada anya bibi yi bi kra sometimes so mo hu bonen ana bonen keto anim because you say oh we dey nka we ye dey nka enye omo anya omo homework ni nyina ha wa me school 2 days ja bo hu na nka ye hu say oh ye dey ni nyina fra
ti say we ji 2 aso ba ji 2
yenti ame bo aba ne de ne so say aba no pa na yetumi bo bi na wo hwe bi omachi a sister na enye anoshi
wutmu say wo ha de ne to na ma
abia ho a oda so de kana sem say teacher ni bi na oye mi say in as much as ye dey aso twen mu odin be ma disuan for na I think that omo hwe kwane ombe fa so dey aye adwuma no implementation no na man ko bo akre obi nam Yetimi twa bia ba na sebe omo etoma ate na egu classroom na egu honom
ye be so madam omo ntefu
why nti omo mfa mbra na omo mfa mbra na omo de ba no mo so yesrem yesu utu omo ne fo na utu ekura nsofo
yentu akase ne so afi atwemu no enne beto abonten se apostle kojosafo bi manyina star ba ko aka enchinagu akwa ekura na na ntutuye na ne 40 days no yedi ya na ne ho sem bebre ene day na dotiye kese koso ne nipa free kuro ahudo bebre so oman Ghana man time dun se ni nyina impon crofo fi Italy Germany edomania ba be pie mo ho a won be hwe nani achi no makra na chi kra na dwumedie na se na tribute kenkan ya ne baba ma wodi kan na ya osafo egina simpie so no so kan papa mo abakosem na papa yo obi a oba wiase na kire Nyankopon de ma no wa mana nse ono nko aho woboa ye Edma whatne ne nsame so nkofo bebre so eno nti ne friend the star of Africa na ya asafo a wo ye apostle kojosafo ne baba ma wodi kan ensem sei eno ka fan papa ho
leadership and African renaissance produces individuals whose lives transcend the boundaries of their generation. And such was the life of Odinoho Apostle Emeritus Professor Engineer Kojosafo Atanka, a revered spiritual leader, visionary, and thinker, and nation builder whose remarkable contribution left an illegible mark on Ghana, Africa, and the global African community. His passing on 11th September 2025 marked the end of an extraordinary journey, but his legacy remains firmly embedded in the spiritual, technological, and socio-economic development of Ghana and beyond. Birth and Royal Patricia, 6 August 1912, into the illustrious Royal Adriana of Suminya Asante Manso in the Ashanti region of Ghana. His ancestry is linked to the revered royal line associated with Ohima Safua and the historic Adriana protocol. Through his mother, Ansie area, he inherited a distinguished matrimonial heritage deeply rooted in the ancient tradition, leadership, structures, and cultural foundations of Asante Mara. His father, Nana Yaosafu, was also a respected member of the Royal Adriana Lineage.
Nana Yaosafo one na apostle kojosafo ne babema wodi kan one ne bekan papa ne ho nsema na afa tribute akenkan mu a na nanafo so ebekasa efa omo nana ho na omo nso mo kan kire se omo kura ni fi ye omo nana eye nhwesode ma omo pa eye edin safo ne yade mu odu ento omo so bo omo moden se ne ebe ye din no ebetimi aka omo so nsema ni
now be delivering this tribute on behalf of the grandchildren. We are all gathered here today to honor the life and the legacy of our beloved grandfather, a man whose impact on our lives and the world around him is immeasurable. As his grandchild was an embodiment of love, tenacity, determination, and wisdom, passion, and endurance, and a good sense of humor. Grandpa was more than a public figure. He was a beacon of hope and inspiration for many. As a great engineer, he approached every project with passion and dedication that was evident to all who had the privilege of working alongside him. His innovative ideas and problem-solving skills not only transformed our communities, but also inspired countless young engineers to pursue their dreams in the field of engineering, electricals, and agriculture. We remember him taking us to Goma and Potat, where he established his technological lab.
Mothers FM 102.7.
Any apostle kojosafo akọ ne create na nafo so de beka ne tribute na brofi abaya ikan na mibusa abna say na brofi wakan yawie wo
wawie se woni se ne yenya nim se o kan asempa fa ne nana ho tem se no an ye betie ana ahwefo
so on na ya adwo aba no
not me say honorable so ne brofo no sa
wote ya no ahu se wono
sro hona ye papa na mesafo
ya semo
mami nso moi na mentoa so apomodimu ensem yenuanom a womo esa abo ho atochema na eno nam so ema etwase edo womo eto ayarehwe eso enuro ene adeade so na womatumi anyankwa atumi atena se eye dialysis no ayede ema womo na chese womo a womo kidney ho atochema ho asem ena meken na Kolebu Teaching Hospital ayade sa ade hye kohonom na dialysis womo kodebi so na okohonom so a eka no ne tekesie se etieni esanse hono ana wo da nimpono ehun sikasem etwase no so utuatua ansa na ne yehwe wo so ne so krabo enso atumi aba na anso atadwo no matedenne esanse sa mpenimfo yatena se ede enso yefofo kra aba eno dialysis program na sa program yi ade a wonu mo so abo ho atochema dialysis yede wo mo eto so na nsembia na wotwe no sisi ade yede koma boboa no wo fie enti na ho so obefa ka bia kotwa dropping bia ne ade adewa akọ ehọ no mama ya hwewa sa akotua sika dwhwede die ewo ho amen no so yesa de wo ato dialysis no eso we ade ampanimfo pese wo mofa so eboa wonu mu a dialysis no wo tua ho sika ebo ho ka bebre na eno no akwakoye ha bebre wo ye we se na ebe wo ho betumi ahan wo mu na eba ne sa no na mama Matilda Adams na wono ye nurse educator edema sa program ampanimfo de abeya wo chirechire mo kwane wo befa so de adidwuma.
Peritoneal dialysis is not a new form of treatment. It's an old practice, very effective, allows patients to be more independent as opposed to being tethered to a machine 3 times a week.
Na no see ya pe ena Professor of Pediatrics at University of Washington ono so ede ne de eto aso e kwa ne omo so befa so ama wo mani aku eye sa enhye de yi eho.
We have started a pilot program with 50 patients to ensure that we can do this at home for these patients. They can do it and they can do it safely, free of infection. With this pilot program, we'll be following them monthly for 3 to 6 months and then out to a year, assessing their quality of life.
Mothers FM 102.7.
Ene yekokotie ye Sangita Hingurani nene ena yekokotie ye no na chese wo mo mani akoho nchese ya wo mo ede aba se peritoneal dialysis pilot program ebeboa ahwe wo mo sa abo ho aka ewo ne fiefie emu
Yankowie kase no ewo edwadie mu Ghana Petroleum Industry for and the ensema ba bonten a mo kire say pa de say invested we ka say mo gidi anasa mo pese sa dwumedie oil eno nom dom ho sika ba behyem ne kwakoye ensem bebre omokoto se empanyimfo se dan dan no mbo ho dero se ne ebe ya mo so dwumedie no mudi no ho basimi akoto tin dwumedie kase akoso wankna pumpuni mantem asai ho na Lady Antoinette edina simpie so ekire mo dwumedie potia mudi edeboa wo man Ghana.
The framework was a bit rigid compared to other African countries, and so the investors did not find it friendly enough to commit. And one of the main issues that have come up is the carried interest for GMPC government side, and it seems to be high compared to other countries. So the government has said that they are looking at how they can bring it down to make it more investor friendly.
Nano say ya Deputy Minister for Energy and Green Transition won monyam for Richard John Mensah one also HRS social impempenya one mind Ghana say beka say almost wo interest pa media as yen aiding no almost abesre said dan ina de na ne ombeto nsa friend crofom won crofom manso so mo so mfo musika emehye sa media kesiem na mfa so de kese e no muso benya efrim.
Once we are attracting a lot of interest, as you say, the interest will translate into investment. How do investments come about? Investments will come out when the terms that you have is favorable to the investor, when the economic climate is also feasible, when the political climate is also very stable. These are things that drives in. Because for the interest, everybody knows that Ghana has a deposit. But what they want to know is the certainty. So political certainty, the economic certainty, and then the regulatory certainty.
Mothers FM 102.7.
Deputy Minister for Energy and Green Transition for Richard John Mensah ono so ene ekotin Ghana de shima me de kase ne besi ha sei semufo abena foko yeboas da PSA enkoma KASE3 Ghana ena kelele clothings so almost so yasene ekwiya kode yeboas eni midi mene
Motofa bohima abena foko yeboa yede mo si na dwumadi etoa so enso yede atoa mo so yakramo